Do you want to live a full and purposeful life? Do you want to deal with all the emotions that clog your heart and make you not be the person God has created you to be? Join me every Saturday by 12 to 1 p.m. on Lifecom TV on Living and Loving with Mabel.
No, nothing without you. Without you, you only.
Our bodies were created to bond. We're created to connect with one another in such a way that we become one unit together for life. This happens because our hormones cause us to glue, so to speak, with our partners. No amount of consent or informed decision making can change that. There is a bonding that occurs that supersedes a mere skin to skin connection. Scientifically, we know that sex engages us hormonally, neurologically, psychologically. It forms intense bonds mentally, emotionally, spiritually, especially when we do it over and over and over again. Quite simply put, any kind of sexual activity that takes place releases chemicals into our brains. For women, it is primarily the hormones oxytocin, and for men, it is vasopressins. Oxytocin allows a woman to bond
to the most significant people in her life. It eases stress, creating feelings of calmness and closeness, which leads to increased trust. It also causes her to want to nurture and protect the one she's bonded to. Vasopressin is very similar to oxytocin, except that it is primarily released in the brain of men. This hormone causes a man to bond to a woman during intimate contact. Some call it commitment hormone or monogamy molecule. This hormone generates a desire for commitment and arouses loyalty. It inspires a protective sense over one's mate and can create a jealous tendency. There is a third set of hormone, highly addictive and cause us to want to experience the rush again and again. What makes things even more interesting is that these hormones are values neutral, which means that whether it is a one-time encounter or a lifelong commitment, we bond the same way. It also crystallizes these emotional memories in our minds, making these encounters and experience very difficult to forget. So with this introduction that I've given you, I want you to just remind some of the things that I've said in the introduction as we continue our discussions today, because I'll be making references to some of them as it relates to our topic for today. You're welcome to Living and Loving with Mabel. As always, I'm here to do living and life with you and loving, okay, every Saturday on Lifecom TV, okay? Last week we spoke about relationship deal breakers. Today we'll be talking about the dangers and damaging effects of premarital sex, adultery, and having multiple sexual partners. I believe that this knowledge will help us so much, and we'll be able to make informed decisions in the way that we do life and in the way that we transact our relationship businesses, okay? Even in our marriages, the knowledge we're going to learn today and information you're going to get today will help you to be able to do marriage right, to be able to do relationships right, so that no one is at a receiving end whereby they feel that they've been cheated, or you have information, armed with information, so that you can make informed decisions, and so so they can put necessary measures and deal breakers to making sure that you achieve your goal of a marriage that is, of course, what you expect and what God expects it to be. Okay, I did not say that there's so many people right now engaging in illicit and illegal sexual activities, and are blindsided about the repercussions. Some people are not blindsided. Some people know and are going in it headlong. Some people are very ignorant of these things, and because of that ignorance, we're here today to enlighten you so that you can get this information and you can start to make well-informed decisions. Okay, so we'll take a short break. Like I said, when you come on Living and Loving to watch Living and Loving, it's usually very helpful for you to have a notepad and a biro so that you can take note of these things, because the Spirit keeps on teaching us every day. So as we're talking, and as I'm talking, as we're discussing, and as you're listening, you might even be hearing the things that I'm not saying. And so you need to always write it down. Like I said, the Bible says that write the vision down, make it plain, so that he that readeth it will run with it. You can always make references to the things that you have written down and the things that the Holy Spirit has inspired you through his thoughts, through you, to be able to write down. So get a pen, get a paper, have a drink, have a coffee. I'm having coffee right here. It's really cold. And then when we'll come back, we'll put more flesh to the things that I've already said. Okay, so don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. This is Living and Loving with Mabel on Lifecom TV.
If it had not been for the Lord.
My name is Mabel Briggs. Do you want to live a full and purposeful life? Do you want to deal with all the emotions that clog your heart and make you not be the person God has created you to be? Join me every Saturday by 12 to 1 p.m. on Lifecom TV on Living and Loving with Mabel.
No, nothing without you. Without you, you only.
You never change, forever you're the same. Alpha and Omega, miracle worker, sunshine in the rain, the word in our veins. With our lives we proclaim, you're the wonder-working Father, beginning and the end. Our faith reaching out, receiving every answer from the wonder-working Father, creator of the universe, light in the dark. Your presence is the answer, miracle worker.
If it had not been for the Lord.
My name is Mabel. Do you want to live a full and purposeful life? Do you want to deal with all the emotions that clog your heart and make you not be the person God has created you to be? Join me every Saturday by 12 to 1 p.m. on Lifecom TV on Living and Loving with Mabel.
No, nothing without you. Without you, you owe me. Yeah.
Joni Erickson Tanda said, and I quote, "And gradually though, no one remembers exactly how it happened. The unthinkable becomes tolerable, and then acceptable, and then legal, and then applaudable." Doesn't that just sum up how life has evolved for some of us? Those things that used to be intolerable, unthinkable, becomes tolerable gradually, and then it becomes acceptable, and then it becomes legal, and then people applaud it. That's how bad life has become. That's how bad life is evolving. Illicit and premarital sex was a thing, was abominable, was an unthinkable thought some years ago, some decades ago, some generations ago. And then, gradually, as life evolved, people started tolerating it. And then it became acceptable that you can have premarital sex. It was a word that is now free, it's a word that's now freely mentioned amongst, people. And then it's become legal. And then people now even applaud it, because people tell you that if you've never had sex before marriage, what have you been doing? And so those that are virgins and those that have kept themselves pure, are now left to think that, there's something they're missing out on. And that's what we're talking about today. You're welcome to Living and Loving with Mabel if you're just tuning in. Before we went on a short break, we said that we're going to be talking about, the damaging effects of premarital sex. It's something that we should talk about. It's something that we should address. For too long, it's been hidden. For too long, it's been swept under the carpet. For too long, it's now become something that is now legal and applaudable. People are doing it. But I'm here to tell you that it's not legal. It shouldn't be in your life. It shouldn't be something that you must applaud. If you're with people, in the company of people that applaud it, then it's something. It's a friendship that you must start to look at in 2020. It must be something that you must start to abhor in 2020. It must be something that you decide that, you want to rethink and redress your steps and start to do things better. And just like what the quote said, it's something, even with outside premarital sex, a lot of habits that we've eventually come into, that's how it started. It becomes acceptable, it becomes tolerable, and then it becomes applaudable. Now people are applauding all sorts of things on social media, things that are are still unthinkable, things that are still illegal, things that really hurt God when we do it. And that's how life sadly has evolved. And one of the things that we're talking about today, and that's premarital sex, is something that I want us to really look at. It's at the very heart of God, because God wants to communicate this message to you today. And I'm just using myself as an oracle and as a voice of God to bring this message to you and to this generation. So if you're just tuning in, this is Living and Loving with Mabel on Lifecom TV. Today, like I said, we'll be looking at the rising trend of premarital sex and adultery, damaging homes and damaging lives. You can be part of this discussion by calling into the show. The show is live, so the phone lines are scrolling down presently. So you can pick the number and you can call in and you can contribute, or you can leave a comment on an experience or a wisdom that you've had in the course of your life that God has given to you that I probably will not be mention here. You can also visit us on our Facebook page. It's Lifecom TV and Radio on Facebook, and catch the show live. We're also live on YouTube, on Roku, on so many other channels, so you can catch us there. Please, when you get to the YouTube page, what you want to do is subscribe to the channel so that you can always get a notification of further programs, and then drop a comment. Let's know that you watched and you were there. Okay. And you can also drop a question. You can catch me on Facebook. My personal page on Facebook is Mabel Briggs, and it's a ministry for me. And so what I do is that I take questions and I take counsels. I counsel people that come there and ask me questions as it relates to their dating life, courtship life, or even marriage life. I was once married, got married at the age of 19, totally green, totally ignorant of what I was getting into. But I had good intentions, but the way I went about it was wrong. And I was married for 13 years. I had so many experiences, and I've been divorced for 10 years now. And in the course of this, my life, God has shown me so many things, so many errors that I've made, so many things that I wish I did, and so many knowledge that I wish I knew beforehand. And I've made it a life purpose to make sure that I help people out there listening and watching me, to make sure that they don't go through the same things I went through. And like I said, and I've always said on the show, that's wisdom, learning from other people's mistake so that you don't make the same mistake again. And so I don't mind to have made this mistake, so that you watching me out there will not go to the same path that I have made, because it's a painful path. And I must tell you, I'm not a robot, and so I feel pain. It was really painful. The me you see now is a totally transformed me by God. And I thank God that I've gotten to this stage where I am, where I can share my experience openly with people and help them to see, the very heart of God and God's intention for what marriage is and for what your life should be. And I've made myself a guinea pig, so that I can make sure that people don't go through that light. God has graced me so much, and I'm really totally in awe of all He can do and through the life of transformation life and transforming people. People have gone through a lot of things. Some people are not able to talk about it, but when God transforms you and puts grace on you, you're able to now come to people and talk about it freely. Someone once said, "Oh, why do you talk about such things on air? Why do you just open your life up to people? Why do you share your life?" I said, because the life that I live right now isn't mine. God was gracious enough to me and merciful enough to me to transform my life and give me His life. And so it is His life that I live. So the boldness and the things that I say are coming directly from God. He has taught me by His Spirit the things that He wants me to teach the generation coming and for the next season. And every time I get this knowledge and I get this wisdom, I make sure that I write it down and I make sure that I say it, because I'm a voice and I'm an oracle of God. I've yielded myself to God to use for this generation. And so, we're coming here, or I come here, and other people come here, not because they just feel like talking, but because there's a purpose for doing it. And they're on a mission, they're on a life's journey that they have, opened themselves to God to use. And that's what we do here, and that's what I'm doing. So you can come on Facebook and you can ask me any questions. You can come on Facebook and seek counsel in any area, as long as it relates to living and loving relationship wise. And I'm not priding myself, but I've gone through so much experiences in that area to be able to give you wise counsel. And of course, using God's word as a foundation. We will go through God's word, and what He's saying to you per time, you'll be able to get it, and you'll be able to apply it to your life, and get on the right path with God. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about premarital sex, and I want you to come to this discussion with an open mind. If you have been chaste and you have given yourself to God, and you do not engage in premarital sex, I celebrate the strength that you have. It's not the strength of your own, it's the strength from God. For you that probably have engaged in it or are still engaging in it, I want you not to come here feeling judged. I want you to come here knowing that right now can be the turning point for your life, and you can decide today, right now, to start to do it the way God wants you to do it. Okay, so there's no best time like now. If you're hearing me now or you're watching me now, then it means that this is the right time. This message is coming to you, and God demands of you that you will start to do things right for your next phase, or for the next phase of your life. Okay, so before we went on a short break, in my introduction, I outlined a couple of hormones that were released when we engage in sexual activities, and oxytocins for men, for women, vasopressin for men, and endorphins for both sexes. I highlighted what these things do, and if you look at it in the context of marriage, it's very, very important, to have these emotions in marriage. These hormones are extremely motivating and helpful. God in his infinite wisdom knew that some days marriage would be difficult, for someone that has been there. He knew that, you will need help choosing and loving your partner every day. If you ask people that are married, or, are married, it's not every day you wake up in love with your partner. And that's the honest truth. If they would be honest with you, I will be honest with you. It's not every day you wake up in love with your partner. It's not every day you wake up feeling that, oh, you made the right choice. It's not every day that you feel like you want to remain with this person. Okay, and he knew that some days, we wouldn't like our spouse very much. Okay, we would disagree over stuff, so argue over things. Bills will come, babies will come, babies will be sick, children will be unhealthy. We'll have in-law issues. There'll be emergencies. Life will just take its toll on you. Stress will come and overshadow your relationship. So what he did was that he installed an override, system, and which these hormones, do for us. Okay, and they cause us to stick together through thick and thin, in goodness and good times and in bad times, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health. These hormones are activated when you have sex with your partner, so that it gives you some bonding, some bonding elements, so that two of you can feel close and feel connected when these hormones are released during sex. Okay, he knew that it will cause us to feel devoted, loyal, and possessive, and willing to endure trials to keep what belongs to us. But like I said, what is happening now is that people have abused this abused sex, and so everyone is having sex with everyone, and multiple partners, and the intent of God to have sex as a bonding effect is now being used otherwise, and that's what we're going to be addressing today. A lot of people have and still using sex as a compatibility test for their intended spouse or their marriage. So people ask the question, so if I don't have premarital sex, how do I now know that this person is compatible with me? And then I will ask you this question: how many men do you want, or how many women do you want to sleep with before finding the one that you're compatible with? So if sex for you is a compatibility test, how many do you intend to sleep with before you now find that person that you're compatible with? How many? It's like a woman going to the shops and you're trying to find something. You're trying to find the products, and the right products, and you try one and you try one and you try one, and you move to the next shop and you try another one and it's not working, and you try, and probably in a day, let's take it like a dress, and you try like almost 10 to 15 to 20 to 30 dresses before you now find that one that is compatible with your stature, with your complexion, or your feet. Sometimes, I remember when I was getting married, I was telling someone recently, I tried almost 30 wedding gowns. 30. Even though I love weddings, I love love. My friends know. But I tried almost 30 to 40 wedding gowns just to find the right one that was fitting. So imagine if they were men. To find that one that's compatible with me, I would sleep with almost 40 it doesn't make sense. You cannot use sex as a compatibility test. Okay? So I ask you, so how many are you ready to sleep with? And so this is how God intended for. When you marry, God's will for you. Okay? Sex is supposed to be discovered by two of you. So you come into that marriage with no knowledge at all of sex. No physical experience, whatsoever. Only just probably knowledge that you have gained from people that have, counseled you, or books that you have read. And the man comes in with no experience whatsoever. And two of you come together and you start to discover yourself together. You like I said, customize your sex life the way that both of you will feel comfortable with. You apply the necessary tools and garnishing to your sexual experience the way both of you will feel comfortable with. You tried the first time and you say, oh, it didn't work out this way, so that maybe next time we'll try this way. And the next time you guys are able to come together to make love, you try the things out that you found that probably in the first experience you didn't have. And then as the years go by in that union, you're discovering and you're applying this discovery, and it's all beautiful. It's totally amazing when two people come with totally no experience whatsoever, and you customize that marriage the way that you have discovered it for yourself. That's exactly how God intended for marriage to be. Okay, so this question about compatibility is usually a question of selfish preference. For instance, you cannot have it all, so you must be able to reach a compromise and find a way of pleasing your spouse and both of you pleasing each other. But when we come into marriage with a dossier of sexual experiences, so you've gone through 4-5 relationships and you've had sex in all of them, and you've had different experiences, the way I believe that we're all adults, so I'm going to come out plain. So you've had sexual experiences, the guy here has had sex with you in this manner, and the other one actually, so you've had different experiences. Now you're coming into marriage, and what you're expecting is that the man you're going to get married must have that experience of all those men that you have slept with. Come to think of it, even as you're sitting down and listening to me, does this seem realistic? So you put that pressure on that guy or on that girl to be able to meet up the standards of the people the multiple partners that you have slept with. So they must have the experiences of 10, 20, or 30 men, as the case may be. It's not realistic. And that poor guy or girl must be able to meet all those levels of excitement and take you to that level of orgasm that all the other men or all the other ladies have been able to take you to. Trust me, it ain't gonna happen. It is totally impossible for one person to be able to help you achieve all this. The reason why you were able to is because you've been able to sample. And so that's what a lot of people do. And they now come and say, oh, we're not compatible. What you're trying to say is it's your own selfish preference. This is your preference. Now you've set a standard from all the experiences that you've had. And so you are now comparing what you're doing, that compatibility test, that question, you're comparing based on the standard and the experiences that you have, that this person is now coming into. So the moment you sleep with him, you mentally, you tell yourself, he doesn't match up to the other experiences that I have had. That's it. In plain English. That's it. So compatibility test most of the time is sex. Your preference, the standard you've had over the years of what sex is because of the experiences that you have acquired. Like my pastor, you've gotten a PhD in sextry, and then someone with an O level or A level in sextry is coming to meet a PhD holder. They can't measure up. They're totally going to fail in that exam, totally, because the experiences you had, they never had it. And so then you compare. And then you take that one, cross that one out. And then you move to the next person. And that person comes and is not able to also meet that standard. Is X'd out. But you see, what you're doing is that as you keep on Xing them, you're gaining more experiences. And you're adding to the numbers. And it only spells disaster for you. So there's nothing like being compatible when it comes to sex. There's nothing. What you do is you ask God to renew your mind. You're going to have to lose that memory of the experiences that you have acquired. And when you get into marriage, you'll get into marriage afresh, to start afresh. You will have to compromise. You would have to compromise because there are other more important things to look out for. I'm not saying sex in marriage is not important, but then you see, as long as you have your sexual equipment, let me use the word, your sexual organs, you can make something beautiful with it. You can make something beautiful. You can both discuss and interact and say, oh, this is how I want it. Oh, this doesn't work for me. Or this might work for me. Let's try it. And whatever the person is able to give you, you receive it in love. And you also give in love. Don't make it an issue. I counsel people that make it an issue. Oh, I want him to do this and he's not doing. Oh, I want to get to this level and I'm not getting there. And it's a problem. Oh, if I had sex before marriage, I've been able to discover all this. No. Like I said, it's just selfish preferences, which we have used to damage our beautiful relationships. So let's continue. So, so when you've gained all that experience from multiple sex partners, you now come into marriage and you say, oh, my wife is not satisfying me. Oh, my husband is not satisfying me. Compared to what? You ask yourself, compared to what? Compared to the experiences that you've had. Compared to the dossier of sexual degrees that you've been able to acquire. That's what you're comparing this present one to. Because if you didn't have a sexual experience, you're not going to compare it to anything because there's nothing to compare it to. But because you've had experiences, whatever comes, you put it side by side. You compare. That's why you'd say, so when people say, oh, it's not satisfying me. I know that you have had many and that has become your benchmark. And so I tell people, you have to compromise. You cannot have it all. You can only build on what you have. So take time. The time you spent to build on those dossiers, you have to take time to build in your marriage. Everything takes time. Gradual, precept upon precept, foundation upon, you start building. So you take time and you make that sacrifice if you really want to have that marriage work. Okay, there's this, this is one of the reasons why we should not have sex before marriage. The issue with sex before marriage isn't the only problem. It is the lifestyle that you have opened your life to. You've opened yourself to. That's the real issue. You can't start a habit one day, and end it the next day. So outside marriage, if you keep on having multiple sexual partners and have a constant day-to-day sexual life, it becomes a habit. It's something you get used to, just like you wake up your morning and you brush your teeth, or you wake up in the morning and you eat, or you wake up in the morning and go to work. It becomes a habit. It becomes part of your day-to-day life. It becomes your lifestyle. It becomes your lifestyle. And so when you're now told to stop, it becomes difficult because it has become a habit. It's like smoking. It's like taking drugs. It's a lifestyle already. It's totally a lifestyle. So when you now get into marriage, you expect that, marriage now solves this problem. It doesn't. Because you're used to it every day. You get married, and then that guy or that girl doesn't have that high sexual libido that you have. And so once in a while, they're not able to meet your physical or sexual needs or desires. Or they're not able to meet up to the level and the height of your sexual desires. And then you start to feel there's a problem in this marriage. But because you already have a habit, because you already have, it's already something that you're used to, you decide that, if I'm not getting it at home, let me go back and get it outside. but you must get it because it's something that you do every day. So if I eat this particular meal every day and tomorrow I can't find it, I'll go looking for it because I'm not finding it where I thought that I will get. That's why you see marriage cannot solve infidelity. Marriage can't, it's not a solution. So people that get married because, oh, I want to make sex legal. Oh, I want to be able to have sex. Because you've been having sex outside marriage. So when I get married, oh, I'll be having, it's not going to cure it. Because the day that you don't have sex at home, you're going to find sex outside. Let's read the scripture. Proverbs chapter 9, verse 17. It says, stolen waters is sweet. Food eaten in secret is delicious. And so, because it's stolen, it's interesting. When it becomes yours, it's mine now. So it's not interesting anymore. It's that thing that I steal to eat that makes it's more interesting. And so, because when you're not married, sex now becomes legal. It becomes uninteresting. Because before marriage, it was illegal, and there was a drive, there was this adrenaline pumping. It becomes legal, it now becomes yours. The spark, you know, that thing, that spark is gone. So you want that thing, that sweetness. It comes from stolen sex. And then you start to look for it outside. So you see, that's why you need to cure the issue before marriage. If sex is something that you can't do without before marriage, then you must go to God and ask for help. Because you choose that when you are in marriage, it's going to get worse. You must ask God for help to help you put an end to it. I was there. I had sex before marriage. I had sex in marriage. I had sex with other people in marriage. It was a terrible life. It was a terrible life. And I had every reason to justify it. But it wasn't the life God intended for me. So I knew that there was a problem. It wasn't the partner that was the problem. It was me. It was my person that was the problem. Because even outside marriage, it was just something that I was used to. And so I had to go to God in all honesty and say, I want to live a life that will please you, that you'll be happy with. And this is what the word says, and I believe this is what you're telling me. But I've gotten to the point where I just can't control myself. I just can't help myself. I don't even have the self-will to do it. And like I said, what God told me was that you just need to love me more. When you love me more, it will just naturally just go. And so I started running after God. I started panting after God. I started dwelling more in His presence. I started asking of Him what He wanted me to do for Him per time. I started getting busy with God. And I found out that I didn't even have time for any other thing. Even when the thoughts came, even when the temptations came, I had to choose who I wanted to please, my flesh, or I wanted to please my lover, and that's God. And I knew that I really wanted to please God in everything that I do. And when I made that decision, I decided to flee and to run away from it. And today, not by any strength of mine, God has kept me for many years. And sometimes, yes, do the thoughts come? They do come. They will always come. We live in a fallen world. The devil is always there, pouncing and going back and forth and looking for who he will destroy. But like I said, and from the topics that we've done in the past, what informs the decisions you make? What informs the choices that you make? One of it was what I believed in and what I wanted for myself, who I am. When I found all that out, I knew that this was the road I didn't ever wanted to go back on. And I panted after God. Every day I still pant after God. When the thoughts come, I say, Father, help me. The thought came just last night and I say, Father, help me. God, help me. And I just went in the place of worship and I made sure that my mind was stayed and focused on God. And before I knew it, the thoughts just disappeared. It just evaporated. You also can receive victory in this area of your life. You just need to decide in your heart what you want for yourself and understand what God wants for you. And then just like Romans 12:2, commit your everyday, your eating, your sleeping, commit it to God's hands every day. But let's make sure that your mind is stayed on God. The Bible says that he keeps them in perfect peace, that their minds are stayed on him. Make sure your mind is stayed on God every time, 24/7. And before you know it, you'll be looking at 10 years, 20 years down the line. You've been able to achieve that very thing that you wanted to achieve. Okay? On this note, we'll take a very short break. We'll play some music. You relax. You absorb all the things that you have heard. And then we'll come back and we will continue and eventually round up on today's discussion. So don't go anywhere. Remember, this is Living and Loving with Mabel on Lifecom TV.
If it had not been for the Lord.
My name is Mabel. Do you want to live a full and purposeful life? Do you want to deal with all the emotions that clog your heart and make you not be the person God has created you to be? Join me every Saturday by 12 to 1 p.m. on Lifecom TV on Living and Loving with Mabel.
No, nothing without you. Without you, you only.
I don't know what you have to do without God. Oh. Just ask your neighbor, waiting I for do without God. Now ask somebody, waiting I for do without God. Imagine that Jesus didn't die. You. Now you, only you. Now you, I know. Now only you. Yeah, I'll see you. See, are you ready? Let's go. Now you say. When I think about the things you do, your love can make me follow you. Now you, yeah. When I think about the things you do, your love can make me to follow. Yeah, see, because everything, anything I do, when I want to enjoy it, even when I cry, see, and when I fall, yakata, and when I stand, gidiba, nobody else, only you, I know. Now you they do me well. Listen, without you, I don't know what thing I go fit do. And without you, I will be like mansion with no roof. And without you, I go be like pride where no got any groom. And without you, I forgot by I go turn mumu. I can't live, I can't be without you. I can't sleep, can't wake without you. I can't be, I can't live without you. I cannot sleep, cannot wake without you. Because everything, anything I do, even when I want to enjoy, and when I cry, hey, and when I fall, yakata, and when I stand gidiba, hey,
You're welcome back to Living and Loving with Mabel on Lifecom TV. If you're just joining us, we've been talking about the damages and the dangers of having premarital sex. Like I said, it has become something that has transformed from the years. It was an unthinkable thing, even an unthinkable thought, and then it became tolerable. Then after a while, it became applaudable, and it's something that has evolved all the years. And today, it's something that people applaud. But I want to let you know that the very heart of God for us is for us to keep ourselves chaste and keep our bodies chaste for Him, even until that time when He joins us with that person that we should spend the rest of our life with. And go. So as a single man and as a single woman, and even as a married person, as a singles, God expects that you keep your bodies for that man that you get married to. As a married couple, God expects that you join yourself with the one that He has given to you for life and not share it with anyone. See, but the Bible says that our bodies are temples of God, and God has permitted you to share your body with one person. It must be with that person, because that's the covenant that He recognizes. Okay, and as a single, He expects that your attention should be for Him and your body should be kept for Him until the time when He gives you that person that you will join your body with. And so we should treat our bodies as it is, as the temple of God, and we must not allow anything foreign to come in and adulterate that temple of God. So that's what we've been talking about today. The dangers and the damages of premarital sex for in our lives and also in our marriage. So if you're that person engaging in premarital sex before marriage, I am here to tell you that you're already divorced. And that's the honest truth. We don't see it that way. But you see, I'm coming to bring the worst case scenario to you today. You're already divorced even before you got married. You've already started preparing your grounds for divorce, because it complicates your life. It totally complicates your life. And if you understand that everything that we do here on the earth, if you understand that you're a spiritual being, and everything that we do here on this earth must be accorded as such, you understand that the spirit is very prominent even in our life here on earth. You cannot just live your life or use your bodies anyhow. You can't. You're not permitted to, as a child of the Most High. You must keep your body. You must keep your body sanctified for God, for the Master's use, for yourself, and this is for your good and for your good only. Okay, so we're going to go in it back to our discussion, and then we'll eventually round up on that which we've been talking about today. Okay, so every time you sleep with a man or woman, that's not your husband, what you also do is you lose your dignity, and then you lose your self-worth. I remember when, last week or 2 weeks ago, when we had a discussion about having deal breakers, we talked a bit about this, or getting married for the right reasons. We talked a bit about this. You lose your dignity and your self-worth. A lot of people tell me, it's interesting that you say this, because a lot of people had sex before marriage and they eventually got married to the man that or the lady that they slept with, and they're doing fine. You see, but just that we really don't even know the true situation or the true health of any marriage, and it's because a lot of people pretend they're in their marriages, so you don't really know the true health of every marriage. You see people out there holding hands, expressing love outside. You don't know what happens in their marriage. You don't know the things they're dealing with. If they're dealing with trust issues, if they're dealing with a lot of trust issues, you don't know. And so you don't want to use your own relationship or your own marriage to test the waters. The truth is that if you sleep with anyone before marriage, you lose your dignity. You lose some form of dignity, and you lost it when eventually you don't get married to that person. You lose your self-worth. You lose some level of respect. The other person might not show it initially, but eventually will, when you start to relate, even when you get into marriage. He starts to suspect you with everyone and everything, people that are in code beneath you. Because you see, that thing has been built up over time. That distrust has been built up over time. Because he would say to himself that if you could sleep with me even when you were not supposed to, what's the guarantee that you didn't sleep with someone else? So a lot of us, we don't understand these things, and we say, we cry, oh, he doesn't respect me, he doesn't regard me, he doesn't trust me. This is the reason why. Because that very thing that you were told by God not to do, you decided to do it, and so you disobeyed God. So what's the guarantee that you're not disobeying God or disrespecting me, relinquishing your vows with someone else? What are the guarantees? What are the guarantees you present to your marriage? There are no guarantees. And that's why you cannot play around with these things. It's very important. Whatever seeds that you sow now will grow in marriage. It will only grow. You can't uproot it anymore. It will grow. It will start to germinate and start to produce fruits. So if you sow good seeds, it produces good fruits. If you sow bad seeds, it will produce bad fruits. You can't reverse it. You can't. So that's why it's important. We are hammering this thing. We're sounding like broken records. Keep yourself, keep your bodies before marriage, so that you can have the marriage of your dreams. You can have that perfect marriage in quotes. Keep yourself. Keep yourself. So, I tell ladies this. If you have a guy that wants to sleep with you before marriage, I dare say that he doesn't really have any true intentions for you. He doesn't have. Some of these marriages are based on pity. Some are coerced. We had a child, and so let's just do it. Okay, there's no other person. I've been dating this guy or this girl for a very long time, and there's no other person. So let's just get it over and done with. And you find people in their marriage is very dissatisfied with their choices. And then, you're counseling them and they're telling you, I didn't intend to marry her in the first place, or I didn't intend to marry him in the first place. I just had to because of one reason or the other. Very few say, oh, this was my right choice. This was what I wanted. Even when it's what they wanted, when they've engaged in premarital sex, there's this doubt in their hearts. There's just this thing, deep-seated doubt in their hearts, if they really made the right choice, based on the fact that sex probably clouded their intentions and their motives. So when you agree to sleep with him or her, what you're telling him or what you're telling her is that you are matured enough to deal with the consequences, and that this is consensual. So at this point, he's not looking out for you. He's not looking out for you, or she's not looking out for you. You're not looking out after your welfare. They're just enjoying the ride. Because they feel that both of you are coming into this thing knowing what you're doing. And so nobody's looking out for you. And that's why when you say, oh, I'm pregnant, and they're like, why? How can you get pregnant? Because they believe that you're matured enough to be able to know the dangers to doing these things. And so why do I have to now be the one to worry about the consequences for you when you should know? So it's very important that we look at, these things. Very, very important. So I'll just run through some few things that I also need you to know in the light of what we're talking about. We should know these things, and I've mentioned it, that when you have sex outside of marriage, you're opening yourself up for suspicions in your marriage. You can't take it out. Another thing is that you get emotionally scarred. So you have a lot of women in marriages that are emotionally scarred because they've had people dump them, they've had multiple sex partners, and they are living with a lot of hate and guilt and hurt and pain and unforgiveness and revenge. They're vengeful, and they go into marriage this way without having to deal with all these things they've gone to. They feel used. Oh, this guy used me and dumped me. Or so many guys have done that. And then you're now finally with someone, and all those negative emotions and feelings follow you into this new terrain, and that person has to suffer for all the things and all the baggages that you've brought through from other sexual partners. So save yourself that. You can do without it. You can. I've decided that I can't do without it. I can. And so save yourself from it. Okay. Another thing is that you lose respect for each other. I said it earlier. You lose respect for each other. You will. Trust me. You will. If you're not now, you will. Another thing is that you open yourself up to the devil. You give him a leeway. You open him up. Luke chapter 11, verse 24 to 26. It says, when a corrupting spirit is expelled from someone, it drifts away in the desert looking for an oasis, an unsuspecting soul to go into. And when he doesn't find, he goes back to where he's coming from. And when he sees that place has been clean and tidied up, he enters. Then he now goes and brings seven more stronger demons. And then the Bible records that the person is now worse off than he originally was. And so when you engage in prayer, you open yourself up to the enemy and to other spirits. There's transference of spirits. When you engage in sexual, multiple sex with multiple partners, you're picking deposits from every single person's spirit. And so if you are not an angry person, you find out that you are an angry person and you're wondering why. You see yourself exhibiting some traits that are foreign to you and you wonder why. You picked it up from the people that you engaged in sex with. They're transferring. It's not only sickness. They're transferring of spirits, horrible spirits. You open yourself to foreign spirits, and it's terrible. I pray that God opens our eyes to see into the spirit and see the things that happen when we do the things that He asks us not to do. We totally disrupt the flow that God has that God has placed us. We totally disrupt the order that God has started in our lives. And so today, I'm closing and I'm encouraging us. You see, a lot of people feel that they're missing out on a lot of things when they're not engaging in premarital sex. I want to tell you that you're missing out on nothing. You're missing out on nothing. If you walk in obedience to what God has asked you to do, and that's stay chaste and stay pure and keep your temple holy, that's all. You're not missing out on anything. Eventually you get married, eventually you have sex, eventually you get tired of sex. Because when eventually is now yours, it becomes legal, it no more is interesting, in quotes. It doesn't, you won't feel like you missed out on anything. You just feel that you're bonding. It now does what it's supposed to normally do. What God has, already predestined that it will do. And that's bond two people together in the marriage union. The devil makes you feel that you're losing out on something when you're not having sex. You're not. It's just a gimmick to make you fall prey and disobey God, just like what he did in the Garden of Eden. His tactics haven't changed. His tactics haven't changed. If only your eyes can open and you can be discerning and see it for what it is, he's still the same old person doing the same old tricks. It's just the same thing. He makes you feel that you're losing out and you're missing out on something when you're not. And so it's just, you save yourself a lot of holes and heartaches if you just walk in obedience to what God has asked you to do. Like I said, if you're engaging in premarital sex, you're already destroying your marriage. You're already divorced because you've already started preparing grounds for divorce. And then you go to the court and find people say irreconcilable differences. Because, there's just so much confusion. You've set so much confusion already in your marriage. You just don't know what to do. Okay? And so, I'm really speaking to someone out there. Like I said at the beginning, if you met this message now, it means that God is asking you and is demanding of you to walk in the path that He has asked you to walk in, and walk in holy and keep your temple holy for Him, because He wants to use you mightily. And so all you just need to do is go back to God and ask God for mercy. Ask Him to show you what to do. Or, ask Him to open the scriptures to you. And like I said, just pant after God every day. Commit your life to Him. Romans 12:2. Give Him your everyday, your waking moments. And allow Him to totally transform you. Let your mind be set and focused on God. And every other thing, every other excesses that is not of God will naturally just fall away. And you'll become that person that God has always planned out for you to be. Okay? So I'll be here same time next week to talk about something totally different. It's the Christmas season, and so in the season of Christmas, we're going to be thankful. We're going to just be thanking God for the things that we have learned. So we'll just do a summary of all the things we've talked about, and just bring it and recall it back to your memory. And then we're just going to be thanking God for the people that we have around us. Okay. I know there are a lot of single people right now, and I know that this season a lot of people are single people are lonely. But I want to say hang around people hang around people. There are so many people. You have friends, you have families, you have acquaintances. Just hang around people and just be joyful and just be happy. You're single at this time for a reason, and just ask God what that reason is and just enjoy the process that you're going through. I posted on my Instagram during the week, lose the timeline. A lot of us we're so time bound. We've placed so much time on God. You must do it at this time. And when he now doesn't do it, we lose hope. So lose the timeline and just enjoy the process that God is taking you through. It's the process is the most exciting part, because eventually you get married and you're like, okay, was this it? And all the things that you're supposed to learn along the way, you totally lost enjoying the process. And so enjoy the process and just continue to believe God. If you have his word that you're standing on, continue to confess it. But I want you to know that God is faithful, that has promised. Until same time next week, remember that transformation is an inside job. Have a wonderful Christmas season. And remember, Christ is the reason for the season. See you same time next week.
If it had not been for the Lord.
My name is Mabel. Do you want to live a full and purposeful life? Do you want to deal with all the emotions that clog your heart and make you not be the person God has created you to be? Join me every Saturday by 12 to 1 p.m. on Lifecom TV on Living and Loving with Mabel.
No, nothing without you. Without you. You owe me, yeah. If it had not been for the Lord.
My name is Mabel. Do you want to live